Villagers, thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. They want you to think this was just a fancy party in Ouagadougou. They want you to think all in all Captain Ibrahim Traore handing a medal to Togo's foreign minister, Robert Dossier, is just standard diplomatic talk. But if you look at what is happening across the entire West Africa region, you know better. This was a statement. It was a message sent directly to those who try to isolate Burkina Faso, and it explains exactly how the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, is beating the system. Let's get into the facts. All in all, the savior, the protector, the unifier, Captain Ibrahim Traore, awarded Robert Dossier, the commander of the Order of the Stallion. That is the highest honor in Burkina Faso. You don't just give that out for no reason. In a time when the regional bloc, Ecowas, was trying to crush the Sahel states with sanctions, Togo took a completely different path. Why does this matter so much? Look at the geography. Burkina Faso is a landlocked. It doesn't touch the ocean. It relies on its neighbors to import fuel, food, and medicine. When the regional powers decided to close the borders and shut off the trade routes, they weren't just playing politics. They were trying to choke Burkina Faso until it collapsed. They wanted the people to turn against the leadership because the shelves were empty and the fuel tanks were dry. Most coastal countries went along with it. They locked their gates. But Togo said no. While other leaders were listening to foreign orders to squeeze the Sahel, Togo's president, Fagnasungbe Yadama, kept the port of Lomé open. Think about that for a second. The port of Lomé is a lifeline. It is how goods get from the ships on the ocean onto trucks and up into the heart of the Sahel. By keeping the port open, Togo essentially broke the blockade. They refused to play the game of strangling their own neighbors. And that is why this ceremony was so important. When Traore gave this award to the Togolese foreign minister, he wasn't just saying, "Thank you" for a handshake. He was publicly recognizing the person who acted as a bridge when everyone else was busy building walls. Robert Dossier didn't just sit in an office. He was out there. He was flying back and forth, keeping the doors of communication open when the regional bloc tried to freeze everything. He made sure that when the chips were down, the Sahel states weren't completely cut off from the rest of the world. This is what real sovereignty looks like. The Alliance of Sahel States, AES, is proving that they don't need the permission of regional bullies to survive. They are building their own partnerships based on reality, not on threats. This move is also a signal to other countries in the region. It shows that there is a reward for being a good neighbor. It shows that if you respect the sovereignty of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, you are going to have a strong, reliable, and grateful partner. But it's a warning to those who try to use their control over the borders to dictate policy. And why is Togo ready to help, knowing all the dangers? Togo is also proving to the world and the Ecowas bloc that sovereignty is when you are able to take your own decisions. Togo is sending a message to the international world that no matter the situation, we cannot say we are sovereign people when we cannot decide our own fate. We cannot decide who we partner with and who we are not. going to partner with. In order for us to show the world we are sovereign people, we decide what to do and what not to do. And let's look at Ecowas, the same people who claim they formed the organization and African Union in general. Like Robert Dossey one time said, it's either they join or we all perish, because what is happening in Mali, in Niger, and Burkina Faso is not only the problem of these nations, but the entire African continent. Because according to reports, and one time the president of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, said it, these CT activities started in Libya during the time of Muammar Gaddafi. Look at where it has reached now. So if we don't come together collectively to quench this fire, it's going to spread. And like the man is saying, our leaders cannot act. They can't stand up to the Western powers. In one of Robert Dossier's speech that I played, you heard him condemning Ecowas, condemning African Union and all the leaders. How can you tell us you form these organizations in order to look out of the welfare of the people, and you are putting sanctions on these nations when you know at the end of the day it is the citizens that will suffer, and you want the citizens to suffer so they can rise against the leader who has risen to fight for total liberation? So when you look at Togo, Togo is playing it safe. Togo is saying that I am my own boss, and they don't want to push so much on Togo, because if they do, we saw that the president of Togo, Nyasumbe, visited Russia, and any African leader moving closer to Russia has officially become a nation that the West is panicking about. So they wouldn't want to do anything. But we have also seen CDO or ECOWAS passing laws against the president of Togo, saying that changing the constitution to remain in office forever is a constitutional coup. But this same ECOWAS was there for years, and ECOWAS said nothing when this same man led his people for close to 2 decades. But just when they started moving towards AES, according to the report people are bringing, and we even heard the analysis from Professor Franklin Nyamson, they started rising all of a sudden. And now even the youth of Africa are asking questions. Why will you wake up all of a sudden and see this man to be changing the constitution to remain in office just when they are moving towards AES? So it's like the block that they planted has been unblocked. And who is unblocking it? It is Togo, and it's under the leadership of Nyasumbe. So they don't want to push this man so hard, because if they do, BRICS doors are opened. And if he finally gets there, because we are seeing his weight in Russia, but the man is sending a clear message: I am a sovereign state, and I must be allowed to take my personal decisions. And this is what we need from all African leaders, not to be helping people to put pressure on us to do things that we think are not in our interest. What the people in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are doing is for the safety of their people. Nationalizing the resources is the best thing you can ever give us in Africa as leaders. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. So that's the latest around the world in Africa, West Africa, and in Burkina Faso.